Well, hello everyone. Welcome to this English lesson about connecting and attaching. There are a lot of things in the world, and a lot of those things you can connect to other things or you can attach them to other things. The words are very, very similar. This past week, I was connecting a trailer to my son's truck. I was connecting a camera to a gimbal. Oh, you can't see it. It's out of the shot right now. I was connecting a whole bunch of wires to my laptop on Tuesday because I wanted to test some things. And I thought, you know what? That would be a great idea for an English lesson. So today we're going to talk about staples and plugging things in and latches and eyelets, tongues, buckles, some strange words, but when I get to the pictures and the slides, you'll understand what I'm talking about. So once again, welcome to this English lesson about connecting and attaching. I did want to let you know that there is a study pack available for this lesson where you can get the original slides as a PDF and also as a PowerPoint, as well as a number of worksheets, a crossword puzzle worksheet, a matching worksheet, and a few more. Visit bobthecanadian.com for more information or follow the link in the description below and in the first comment. Hook. So one of the ways that you attach something to something else is you use a hook. The most common hook I can think of is every year at Christmas when we put ornaments on the trees, the ornaments have a hook at the top. So a hook is a piece of metal or wire or plastic that's kind of curved at the top so that you can hook it onto things. We also use hook as a verb. So the Christmas ornament has a hook, but you can also hook it on to the Christmas tree. Lots of fun, very, very enjoyable time. A latch. So our backyard gate has a latch. That's the thing that you use to connect the gate to the rest of the fence. When you close the gate, the latch holds it shut. So latch, let me say it a few more times, latch. Most gates will have a latch. A door will have a knob, but a gate will often have a latch. The only other place I can think where you might find a latch is on like a briefcase. It might have two latches that you close when you close the briefcase, or a suitcase could have a latch as well. But that is definitely one type of latch. And eyelet. So eyelet, any kind of hole that something else goes through is called an eyelet. So you'll see there that there is an eyelet that the hook can go into. The other place you might find eyelets is on a shoe. A shoe has eyelets for the laces to go through. But if you wanted to put this hook on one thing and this eyelet on another, then when they are close enough together, the hook can go into the eyelet, and those two things would be connected. A knot. So a knot is something that you use quite often. You tie a knot in your shoe when you go out, unless you have Velcro instead of laces. If you have a boat, you will tie your boat up to the dock with a knot. So notice this lesson, I'm teaching you vocab words, but I'm using a number of other words when I describe it. So in order to use a knot, you have to tie up. So you tie up your boat using a knot. I'm not sure what kind of knot this is. When I was a kid, I was in like a club where they taught us different kinds of knots. I don't remember learning this knot, but I did learn I think it's the sheepshank knot and the slip knot. There's a couple of different knots in the world. And the square knot, that's a cool knot as well. A hitch. So there are two parts to this vocabulary word or topic. I'm not sure. There are two parts. There's the hitch and the tongue. So this is something you find on the back of some vehicles, some cars, and most trucks will have a hitch on the back. We actually call this a ball hitch because you can see there is a silver ball. And on a trailer, you will find what's called the tongue. Some people do call this the hitch as well, but usually when I'm talking, you have the hitch, which is on the vehicle, and the front of the trailer I would call the tongue. So the tongue nicely fits onto the hitch. So the other day, my son was hooking up his trailer. He has a ball hitch on the back of his truck, and we backed up to the trailer and we put the tongue onto the ball hitch, and he was ready to go with his trailer. So hitch and tongue. Buckle. So the two most common types of buckles are buckles on your pants. So I have a belt buckle right here, or a buckle on a seatbelt. So when you get in a car, in order to be safe, you need to put on your seatbelt. There is a buckle that you need to do up. We often say buckle as a verb. So you need to buckle your seatbelt. Did everyone buckle their seatbelts? Or I might say, is everyone buckled up? That's a common thing to ask your children when they're little. When you get in the car, you put your seatbelt on, you buckle up, and you might say, is everyone buckled up? Or you might say, hey, buckle your seatbelts. It's a funny word, buckle. Every time I say it, it sounds funny to me, buckle. But yes, belt buckle or seatbelt buckle. Socket. So if you use the old kind of light bulbs that screw in, you would screw it into a socket. And yes, this is exactly how you do it. You move your hand really quickly. So the socket is kind of the place where the light bulb screws into. Okay. So when you have a light bulb, it's threaded at the end. That means it has little grooves in a circle spiral. So you can screw it into a socket. Most of our lights, though, in the house are fluorescent. They're long tubes. We still have some lights like this in most of our bedrooms, but yes, you screw the light bulb into the socket. Here's a common one, the zipper. This shirt has buttons, but I have a jacket that has a zipper. There's a few ways to talk about zippers. You can zip up your coat, or you can do up your zipper. Both work. You could say, oh, hey, do up your zipper, it's cold outside. Or zip up your coat, it's cold outside. So a zipper is a really cool thing. As you pull it up, it connects the two sides of the jacket or coat or shirt together. Very, very cool. And I think you can probably guess the next one. I kind of gave a bit of a spoiler. It's button. So you can button up your shirt. You can do up your shirt. You can unbutton your shirt. You can button up your shirt. So there's a number of ways to talk about it. You can button up your shirt, or you can undo a button. So I should keep this clear. You can button up your shirt, or you can do up your buttons. That's when you connect them together. Or you can unbutton or undo the buttons. There's a couple different ways to talk about it. So this guy is going to do up his jacket, or he is going to button up his jacket. And snap. So a snap is not as common as a button. I do have one jacket, I think, that has snaps. With a snap, you push the two pieces really hard together, and then it kind of goes click. And then when you want to undo it, you pull it apart and it unclicks as well. So a snap is definitely used in the same way as a button, but is a different kind of way to attach two things together. Plug. So I'm going to go over some of these very quickly. The plug is the part that goes in the wall. The outlet is where the plug goes. Now, this might be different depending on where you are. In my part of Canada, you plug things in to the outlet. Okay, so when you have a vacuum cleaner, it has a plug on the end. I hope the door behind me doesn't open during the lesson. The windows are open and it's a little windy. So that's the plug. If you want to use the vacuum cleaner, you find an outlet and then you plug it in. Okay, so you plug the plug into the outlet. I know it sounds kind of funny. And then when you're done, you unplug it. So let's review that. This is the plug. This is the outlet. This is how you connect it. You plug in what you want to use, and when you're done, you unplug it. And again, this might be different if you're in Britain or somewhere else, but for me, that's how I describe those actions. A jack. So on your phone, you might have, I don't think I have one. I think I have a port, which I'll talk about in a sec. But on my computer, my headphones are plugged into the headphone jack. So that little hole is called the jack. We would call the other piece the plug, at the end, or you might call it a connector. That's the general term. But when you are wanting to listen to some music, you might plug in your headphones into the headphone jack. And now, what's the difference between a jack and a port? Not a whole lot. They are both little spots where you can connect things to usually a computer or a phone or some other device. These are called USB ports. They're the older style, the bigger one. There's USB-C ports now. So again, I don't know why they have different names, but this is a jack and this is a port. Sometimes you will link things together. Again, if you are making a chain, the actual piece is called a link, and the action of connecting them is the verb to link. So you can link things together. Obviously, it's hard to do when it's a solid circle, but if you had two pieces of metal, you could bend them, and then you could weld each of them, and then you would say that you have linked them together. Also a character in a video game, if you are familiar with video games, but link. Clasp, this is a bit of review from another lesson. A clasp is something you use to connect two ends of usually a piece of jewelry together. If you have a necklace, it will have a clasp on the back. If you have a bracelet, it will have a clasp. I'm not sure if we call this, I don't think we call this a clasp on a watch. It has a different name. I can't think of it right now. But if I was wearing a bracelet, it would most likely have a clasp that you would use to connect it together. So this is just a general term. If you open the hood of a car, there's lots of wires and there are a lot of connectors. So anytime you have two things that go together like this, we would say that this is a connector. Sometimes your van or car doesn't run right because there's a loose connection. So the mechanic checks all the connectors to make sure they're connected properly. Loop. So again, with Christmas ornaments, the first picture had a hook. Most Christmas ornaments, though, just have a small loop on top, and then you add the hook to the loop. So there's a few things that have loops. I have a picture back here. This picture has a little loop of string on the back. So if I want to hang it on the wall, there's a little loop of string. It looks a lot like that loop of metal. And you would use that to hang the picture on the wall. You would use this loop to connect a hook and then use the hook to hang the ornament up. Puzzle pieces. So puzzle pieces go together. There's no exact way to describe. I don't know what the one piece and the other piece of a puzzle piece are called, but you connect puzzle pieces together when you do a jigsaw puzzle. And then, of course, there is glue. There are glue sticks and there are hot glue guns. So glue is any substance, usually a liquid, that you put on something in order to connect it to something else or to attach it to something else. This person is going to glue together two pieces of wood. We can also use the word fasten. They're going to fasten together two pieces of wood. But generally, when you use glue, we use the verb glue as well. So if I had two pieces of paper, I could glue the paper together with glue. I might use a glue stick, though. So a glue stick is a harder form of glue. It's not a liquid, and you just put it on the paper and then you can attach the two pieces of paper together, or you can glue the two pieces of paper together. There's also something called a hot glue gun. So a hot glue gun plugs into the wall and you put a tube of hard glue in the back and it comes out as a liquid hot glue at the other end. Don't touch the hot end, by the way. I did that once by accident. This is a very strong form of glue. It's a really good way to glue things together. When I need to glue something together for work at school and I don't want it to ever come apart, I go and get one of the hot glue guns. So liquid glue, glue stick, hot glue gun, all different ways to glue things together. And then, of course, we have tape. This is called masking tape. There's also Scotch tape, which is clear, and duct tape, which is silver. But tape is something that is sticky on one side and not sticky on the other side, unless you buy double-sided tape, which is this weird tape that's sticky on both sides. Anyways, tape is a great thing to use if you want to attach two things together. You can tape something to the wall. You can put a poster on the wall or attach a poster to the wall with tape. Although sometimes the tape will pull the paint off when you remove the tape, so be careful with that. Anyways, tape is definitely something we use to attach things together. Staples. So you use a stapler to put staples in, and you can staple two pieces of paper together. Let me say all of that again. These are staples. They go in a small little machine called a stapler, and you use a stapler to staple paper together. So staples, noun, stapler, noun, to staple, verb, okay? So I do this a lot at school. In fact, usually the photocopier does it for me. I push the button so that it staples my handouts together. But staples, small pieces of metal to hold or to connect pieces of paper together. And then a pin. If you want to put something on a wall, you might use a pin. A long time ago, when we used cloth diapers, people would use safety pins. Although safety pins are still used sometimes if you want to connect something to a piece of clothing. If I had a piece of paper that said, hi, my name is Bob, and if it was a sticker, I could stick it to my shirt. If it was just a piece of paper, I would probably use a safety pin. It's called a safety pin because when it's closed, you can't accidentally stick yourself with it or prick yourself with it. So a pin is used to put something on the wall, or you could use a thumbtack, and a safety pin is used to just attach something to something else. I think mostly with, the last safety pin I used was to pin something to my shirt. Rubber band or elastic. So these are the same thing. I think one of these words is more Canadian though, but it's a very stretchy, I would say kind of like a string, but it's rubber. And you use it to maybe attach a whole bunch of cables together. We put a rubber band on the bottom of every bouquet. When Jen makes a bouquet of flowers, we put a rubber band on the bottom. That is the action I use to do that. And we just call them elastics as well in this part of Canada. So I might have to go buy Jen more elastics later today. And of course, there's something called a paperclip that you can use to connect two pieces of paper together or more. These are common at schools and in offices as well. It's a little piece of looped metal that slides over the paper to attach them together. And we have twist ties. Twist ties are very useful for a lot of things. I actually used a twist tie to fix the windshield wiper on my van because the little hose that squirts windshield washer fluid out fell off, and I didn't have anything to fix it with, but I had a twist tie, so I used a twist tie. So it's a small little strip of metal, usually with plastic on the outside, and when you twist it, it stays twisted, so you can use it to attach things together. And then of course there's zip ties. When I got home, I actually used a zip tie to fix my windshield wiper. That worked better. Zip ties are much stronger than twist ties, but you can see it's called a twist tie because you twist it on. This is called a zip tie because it makes that zip sound when you zip it together. And just a quick review from a past lesson. This is a bolt. This is a nut. Sometimes you bolt things together. If you have two pieces of wood, you can bolt them together as well. If you have two pieces of metal, you can bolt them together and you would tighten the nut. So the action of putting a bolt and nut on, you use the verb to bolt. I'm going to bolt it together. And then when you're doing it, you tighten the nut. And then this is a screw. And then I believe this is called a fitting. There are a lot of different kinds of fittings. In the world of pipes and plumbing, there are a lot of fittings. Things that you use to connect hoses and pipes together. So this fitting is threaded at one side and it's a nipple on the other side. So you can put a hose on one side with a clamp and then you could screw a pipe onto the other side. So this is a fitting, and then this is a clamp. We sometimes call this a hose clamp. By the way, when I put hose clamps on, I like to use a socket instead of a flat screwdriver, because when I use a screwdriver, it usually falls off and it's a little bit annoying.